So, if you've been following the channel and my projects at all for the longest time, I have been complaining about one thing, this one device, this very one piece of equipment I have been lacking and yearning for. Yes, it's finally happening now. We got it, boys and girls, my very first 3D printer. Now, I know that one of the major things I highlight in my builds is the ability to replicate them, as I had built everything previously without a 3D printer, mostly stringing kits, hot glue and straw ball together, along with the occasional pipes too. So this would be a huge step in elevating the quality of my builds and projects, but nonetheless, I'm still a broke engineer. I will maintain the most optimal and cost-effective methods I can find to overcome any issues and design challenges that I face. This is my very first 3D printer, the Creality CR6-Max, provided to me by my uncle, who I want to personally thank and appreciate, as it wouldn't have been possible to get it as of right now without his belief and investment into me. Here's my experience putting it together. First of all, I got a new table to accommodate this huge machine because it's a 400 by 400 mm bed slinging 3D printer, which allowed me to have new storage for my electronics, wires, tools, and more hardware in the drawers for better organization. I opened up the box and started taking out the parts, from the instruction manuals and warranty papers with some stickers, to the gantry, rods, and finally the bed. I followed the guidelines stated in the instructions and Creality's own YouTube video, and I began my assembly, starting with the gantry and then the support rods, the screen, and the rest. To be clear, my point of making this video wasn't primarily to talk about how to set up the 3D printer I got, but rather my experience with 3D printing for the first time and its impact on my work. Although, I'm like 10 years late to the fray, but better late than never. If you've watched this far, over 95% of people who watch my videos aren't subscribed, and for those who are and are yet to, I appreciate you and your support. Here at Legends, I am dedicated to building more advanced electronics, embedded systems and robotics projects than the ones I have built previously. So don't forget to leave a like, follow and subscribe for more content as we try to hit 2,000 subs before the end of the year. I'm also going to be posting new videos every 2 weeks, as it is quite difficult to put out the high quality videos that I want to put out and make on these complex projects, but I'll be looking forward to trying to keep up with that schedule and also keeping up with every other thing I have to do. Now, with the 3D printer setup, the first thing I did print, as with any cultured builder who has seen others use 3D printers, was the legendary benchy. And seeing the results, it looked fantastic, although with some errors. That is despite having 3 power outages, as you can barely get any consistent power supply from the local power distribution in this country. But oh well, it's all I got. The benchy allowed me to see the effects of some of the major features of this printer, which was print recovery, which allowed me to continue a print after power outages. And while printing the benchy, it worked, but you could clearly see the areas that got affected due to the break in printing. But other than that, it came out great. I then proceeded to stress about calibration, belt tensioning, bed leveling, which is automatic on this printer, and after a lot of videos, I got exhausted. So I did a factory reset and played around with some print speed on the calibration cube. I also got a lot of failed prints for the cover of the next project I'm in the process of completing, and I attributed this to the high print speed I had set off random forums and the slider automatically calculating the travel speed, which I could only blame, as every time it was done with the first 2 layers, which were printed slowly, it would have a huge layer shift along my y-axis, which I did hear and didn't like the sound of. With my failures costing me my 1 kilogram of white starter filaments which came out of the quality box, I also printed this print remover, and as I'm losing a glass bread, getting prints off it was really stressful even after waiting for them to cool down. So this 3D print remover, 3D printed itself, actually helps a lot, especially with prints with low layer heights. Next, I came across learning about tolerance for close tight fits and loose fits for my 3D printer because I intended to use screws on the cover of the next project I had printed. So I 3D printed this clearance tolerance test I got on printables, which I will link down below. I did realize from the print that my printer was comfortable with the current settings that it had then, with a clearance of 0.35 mm, which was a very loose fit, 0.25 mm, which was a loose fit, and 0.2 mm, which was getting a really tight fit that needed force. I also printed this tiny tester I found on Thingiverse because it looked cool and forced your printer to do angled prints, overhangs, cylinders, and a bunch of things. Overall, this print did fail at the top, but I assumed it was due to me changing the layer height from 0.2 to 0.15, or rather, instead of layer height, I mean the Z compensation from 0.2 to 0.15 after I started printing, because I noticed that the printer always tended to have issues with the first layer when it came to circles and circles only. Overall, it's been a wild and huge learning experience. Honestly, I got the feeling that if I wasn't printing something, I was wasting valuable print time. And then I realized just because you can't print something doesn't mean you must. But having a huge printer, you can look forward to more advanced projects and videos on robotics, embedded systems, way more mechanical prints and designs, and definitely look forward to way more complex stuff from me. Keep building cool stuff just because you can, and I'll see you in the next one. This is a special section for those of you that made it to the end of this video. Here is a blue key holder print. I've forgotten the name, just recording this off the bat here as I made. It did show fantastic prints at the front, looks so good, although all of the spikes have some deformations. Some of them are perfect, some aren't. There's a bit of stringing here and there, not really a lot, like you see with like bad printers. It's not really a lot of stringing. And then on the support that was auto generated by quality slicer, not quality prints, because for some reason the CR6-Max is not supported on a bunch of platforms, including Ultimakers, Kira, quality prints, bamboo. Is not supported widely, so I am still stuck using the quality slicer. That doesn't really get updated a lot, but it's pretty much good. I will tighten my x-axis a bit because I did loosen it recently. I will tighten it a bit, and then my y-axis has been giving me some noise and issues, but let's see how that goes. If you look at this print and if you're an expert at 3D printing, you can let me know what I think I can do to adjust. I did want to do the E-steps calibration, but I couldn't find that in my settings. I didn't really want to tinker around with updating firmware and stuff like that just yet. But yeah, tiny sub non-scripted version for those of you who made it to the end of the video. And well, see you in the next one.